Welcome to the Fail Forward Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is change the negative stigma around failure into a positive. Failure is only a negative if we do not learn from it and we give up. Welcome back to the Fail Forward Podcast. So today I want to talk to you about what I feel about loneliness. So being lonely has always been a very negative subject. Like as we grow up, at school, if you're on your own, you get called the loner. And there's so many negative thoughts about being on your own, like going and sitting in a restaurant on your own may feel really uncomfortable because you're on your own. But I was recently listening to Steven Bartlett on his podcast, and he was interviewing Jay Shetty. And I've not come across Jay Shetty before, but I've now done a lot of research and very interesting guy. But he was talking about this exact subject which I'm talking about today, and this is where I've taken a lot of this content from. But it's a reason why I wanted to share it with you is because it's completely changed my my thought process of doing things on my own, because I spent so much of my childhood always wanting to be around people. My parents moved, I think I'm 38 and we've moved, 26 times in my life. And a lot of that was before I was 16 because my parents bought and sold houses and did them up, and we moved a lot. And I was always moving to new schools, and I never wanted to be the one on my own. So I always wanted to meet people, which made me help with my social skills. But I hated I could never do anything on my own ever. I always wanted to be with people or with somebody. I never liked doing things on my own. I didn't want to be the loner. And took that into my adult life as well. Always wanted to be surrounded by people. And then I was listening to Steven Bartlett's podcast, and Jay Shetty was talking around being on your own and how actually we are social beings, and it's fantastic to be around people, but it's okay to do things on your own from time to time. And what he called it solitude. Having some solitude from time to time is actually really important to be able to take a respite, to be able to have time on your own, to collect your thoughts, to be away from social media and other things like that, doing some mindful meditation or even just doing something on your own. That it doesn't have to be loneliness. It's just solitude, and that's okay. And it's the first time in my adult life, or even my life, that I'd heard that. And it was so profound to me that actually being on your own is okay, and doing things on your own is okay. Yes, you don't want to spend a whole life on your own. You don't want to be spending every day, evening, week in on your own, because that's not good for your mental health, and that's certainly not what I'm saying. But I've recently taken up golf, as I've shared before, and now I really enjoy actually going for a round of 9 hole on my own. I just put some tunes in and I go round on my own. It's a good way to practice. I've got no one watching. I can chuck a few balls down, and I just have an hour a day on my own where I'm doing something for me, with me. I can collect my thoughts, listen to some music, and just exist without the sounds of anybody else or influence or of anybody else or anything else, even social media on your phone. And having that solitude time, it helps massively for my mental health, like huge amounts. I do mindful meditation, but I resist it a lot. It's a bit like exercise, really. You're exercising your brain. And like exercise, we seem to resist it as human beings, but we need to do it. So really, it's not a long episode, this episode, but I just wanted to talk to you. If you're ever feeling lonely, it might not be loneliness. It might just be that you need some solitude, and you're having some solitude. And if you say to yourself, I'm having some solitude, it just changes that from that negative word of loneliness. And it can be really powerful to collect your thoughts. Again, as I always have, there's a caveat, please don't spend weeks on your own. That's not healthy. We are social beings. We do need to be around people. But certainly if you're always around people, taking some time out, and especially if you're looking at social media a lot, leaving that phone at home, turning it off, going away from social media, having some time to collect your thoughts, put things in perspective, because certainly when I have those times where I'm not looking at social media or and I'm having some solitude, that's sometimes when my creative brain is at the highest, and I have some of the best ideas and the best innovations and ways to solve problems that I usually do. So I just really wanted to do a little episode about loneliness and solitude and what that means to me and how that can help you. And I'd go and have a listen to that episode of Steven Bartlett's podcast with Jay Shetty. It's a very good episode, and it helped me put a lot of things in perspective in my brain. But that's what I want to talk to you about today. Just change that word from loneliness to solitude, and that could just change how you feel about spending some time on your own, because we can do that and it can have a really positive effect on our lives. So thank you for listening to Fail Forward Podcast, and I'll see you next time.